actually increasing. At least there is a paper published in Mallorca by Margarita Gili, and when I talk to primary care physicians, they are also confirming that this is something which is actually happening. My question is, how can we adjust both types of phenomena? I understand that the determinants of the suicide are not the same as to the determinants of mental health services demand, but we should make an effort to understand both phenomena. And I would just I would like that you comment on both things.
Shall we answer? Okay. First, you had two wishes. I guarantee only one, and the one is here the data that you asked. So A, B, C, D, E are the socioeconomic groups. A is the wealthiest, E is the poorest, and this is basically people that were declared in the last year to have been sick, whether they declared they had financial constraints that precluded them to seek for health care. I don't know what is the sickness. That is the second wish that I cannot grant you, but at least having the first is not bad. And of course, we have some gradient. Increasingly enough, the poorest ones seem to be different from the others. So it's not totally perfect income gradient, but there is some income gradient. You should also take into account this is what people declare to do. If you have, from these guys that were being sick, if you ask them, did you go to a health system or not? And then you see that many of these guys that said that faced financial constraint actually went to the health system. So if you take, he was sick and did not go to the system, it was a financial reason for that, then you have a very small number, which is about 4% of the people that were sick, which is about 2% of all the population. And so, at least for the last year, people did not seem to be strongly deterred from using the services. We still have an income gradient on it. So first wish granted, I hope.
Okay, suicide. Well, I know the Gili, the paper by Gili and others, and it is very interesting. It finished in 2010, I think. And we have just shown in the last session how unemployment is a very, very serious health problem right now in Spain. For physical health, but also for mental health, okay? That is clear. We are working now with a couple of psychiatrists from my island. We are working in the demand of medical visits since 2007 to now. They have the register of all the mental health visits they are doing with diagnosis. So we have as control group the locos, that is psychotics, schizophrenics, so really serious mental problems that are independent of the crisis because they are, away, flying. And that is the control group, and the experimental group are some specific diagnoses that they selected, the psychiatrists, related potentially with the stress of the labor market, unemployment, and so on, so on, and so on. And we have microdata also for those patients on the employment situation, socioeconomic background in the family, and so on, so far, we don't have evidence on an increase, a clear increase on the visits. We are going deeper on that, but we are well, these are bad news for publishing, okay? Like the suicide, it's bad news. Yeah, but that is what happens.
Can I just add a quick note on the? Just a small note from the other side of the border on suicides. Here we have the suicides from Portugal. It's not time on the line. It's just a crisis indicator, which is basically a more negative value. It's a stronger crisis. Okay, so this is deviation to trend GDP per capita, basically. And what is in the red line is just a regression line adjusted on these data. And just to make the simplest picture, and the worst moment of crisis is here, 2011, the one you have. And we are about below the regression line, and clearly far away from the suicide rates on the previous crisis 10 years ago. And so also in Portugal, we don't have that increase in suicide rates that have been reported in Greece. So I think that the question is why in Iberia we are able to resist more this predicted effect associated with the crisis. And so it's not only Spain, I think we can join Portugal.
It's the same in Portugal.
And allows me to use one more slide.
One more question. Pilar.
Hi, thanks for the very nice presentation. I wanted to hear your thoughts about things that are happening outside the healthcare system. So Bea mentioned some of those things already, but from the table that you saw, the drop in spending in education is similar to the drop in healthcare. So if you can reflect a bit about what could be the effects of those things on health. And I was wondering if the same is happening in Portugal and also a bit your thoughts. Thanks.
A short answer, okay? I personally are more worried about the drop in early years education spending than in healthcare, because it can have some long-term consequences. So the profesor de apoyo, okay, and the individualized attention to children with problems, and so I think it is dangerous because it could have some effects in the long term on productivity in the labor market, but also in health of adults in the future.
Okay, from Portugal. At this moment, we have overcapacity in education, especially in the lower grades. So there's going to be a reduction there. I will not expect much problems from there. What I think more worrying in terms of public spending overall is that they are now targeting pensions. Pensions are a huge item in public spending, and they start making cuts in pensions, temporary, but that will last as needed, was the last wording they were using in politics last year. This actually increased a lot anxiety and probably depression in elderly people. They get confused, they don't understand, they don't have the means to react. If they cut my wage, I can work more, I can move country. An elderly guy cannot change his life. And so this is creating probably an anxiety and depression in the elderly. And if they keep not only cutting, but announcing permanently that they are still going to cut more, I think that was going to be a major issue in terms of health, a consequence for health in this target population. And the cuts they are announcing are not that easy. Some of these elderly, it's not the poorest ones with pensions below 500 euros a month, but even people that are in the range between 500 euros and 1,500 euros a month, they probably have a tight budget. They have probably some nursing care, they have the pharmaceuticals, and they have all things, and they get anxious about what is going to be their future. And so I think that's I would look more for the wording there.
Thank you very much. We have come to the end of the session. Unfortunately, we have no more time. We have to respect the following sessions. So I think they merit a very strong applause.